Next on This Week in NASCAR, we'll break down all the short track action from Martinsville and get you set for the biggest wild card race in the chase, Talladega. So sit back, put your feet up. I think you're ready. Tonight, Twin goes for a spin at Martinsville, where the battle for the top spot rages on.
I don't know what's wrong with him, but I'm pissed.
Hear Montoya's thoughts in Radioactive. Late in the race, it looked like deja vu all over again, but Denny wouldn't be denied. Trick or Treat Talladega comes this week, and how will this year's race affect the chase? Plus, the history of the plate that took the super from the speed. This Week in NASCAR starts now. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Hope you're having a great Monday evening. I'm Steve Burns. Glad to be with you from the Speed Studios in Charlotte, North Carolina, alongside Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer. Glad you're with us, Spence.
Always fun to be here, baby.
Greg Biffle, on time.
On time.
Early even. Yep. And Michael Waltrip, who is always on time. Well, guys, the headline from yesterday's race on the short track at Martinsville, big win for Denny Hamlin, his third of 2009, and strangely enough, or I guess surprisingly enough, his first chase win ever.
Well, he hadn't been doing this that long. He showed up in
fourth year.
Every time he's tried to race, he's been in the chase and finally got him a W.
You know what's interesting about Denny yesterday, listening to him talking, he's concerned he wants to win Bristol because he lives in Virginia and he's won on all the Virginia tracks except Bristol, so that's pretty interesting. So every driver has goals in mind, and he's got to win on Virginia, on all of them in Virginia, which would be Bristol next.
There's a Bristol, Tennessee and a Bristol, Virginia.
I know, but I mean, I'm not from Virginia. I'm from Pennsylvania, and I mean.
Is there a Bristol, Pennsylvania?
I'm not that smart in geography.
What kind of ornament do you have on the hood of your car?
I ain't gonna go down there.
Denny Hamlin's 7th straight finish at Martinsville of 6 or better. Jimmy Johnson's 15th straight top 10 finish, and they're 1-2.
Hey,
how about that?
You came prepared.
That's right.
Tell our viewers, make the sound up off the forward bite that Denny had that you were doing for the Biffle a while ago.
Well, it's just, if you're another race car driver, it's disgusting. But if you're Denny, I'm just feeling smiling.
Make the noise.
Well, when he gets on the gas, it's what I do and what Kenny Wallace, he's a race car driver, we call it hunkering. It hunkers down, and and you just feel it doing that. And you could see that's what the 11 was even doing it better than the 48 yesterday. I was amazed at the way that thing would come up off the turn. You
know what's interesting, Michael? Your brother was one of the best at Martinsville, and he always was concerned about the forward grip getting off, and that was back in the 80s.
Right.
So even though we go to these tracks and everything we change, we still have to do the same thing that they did 30 years, 20 years ago.
And you come up off the corner chase, or when he passes you to lap you and you're following him, and you see him doing it, and you go, oh.
Yeah, I wish I had that.
Oh, I agree. How did he get that? I want some of that.
Yeah, before the show, Michael asked Greg, how did he do that? We don't know, do we, Greg?
Not yet.
And you know why Greg and I don't know? Look over my shoulder.
Yeah.
We side by side.
Yeah. Oh, and the 48's behind
well,
you.
Well, 48's trying to keep up with us right there, so.
That was we got him covered.
Right there.
If we could have possibly stayed like that for
we just passed him, didn't we? He's behind.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
It's a great setup for Radioactive. You heard in the open to the show, Jeff Gordon said, he wasn't happy. Let's take a look at Radioactive.
Radio check 1 2. 10-4, got you. Check 1 2. I got you there. You got me okay?
All right, tighten your belts up. If you want to go this time, 500 laps here today in Martinsville.
Flags are waving throughout the grandstand area. We're underway.
Trouble turn 2, Michael Walter, flat left rear tire. Tighten the center, snapping was really hurting a little bit on forward drive. 10-4, buddy. We're going to change right sides, guys. Right side.
4 tires, 2 rounds out, left rear.
5 away. We're here on the left. Wheel straight, foot on the brake. Number 1 lane, 88 outside, 88 outside. Clear, clear, clear.
I'm sure we got extensive damage to the right front. He's got a pretty good amount of damage right there. And the only thing I'd be worried about at this point is whether it's going to rub the tire or not.
Looks like it just peeled the bumper cover open, didn't it? Yeah, peeled it open between 2 and 3 o'clock. It's been in toward the tire. 29 thinks it'll be okay.
Bunch of jacking around out there, so just nice and smooth. Just wheel it on from there, but it's going to stack. Green, come on. Still outside.
There's some banging going on. Jeff Gordon, Juan Pablo Montoya just side-slap doors coming down the back straightaway into turn 3.
Inside. I tell you what, I don't know what is wrong with him, but I'm pissed. He's got the best car out here. He doesn't know what to do with it.
You got to pull every fender there is in the freaking car. That freaking 24. You know, we're running side by side. It was okay, and then he started getting wider and starting to hit me every freaking corner.
Hey, Jeff, they just come down here on 42 cars, so they just didn't want to beat and bang like that all day now. They're talking to the wrong guy then. They need to be talking to their own damn driver. I didn't start that at all. Simple. Kind of hard not to beat and bang when the guy's, lifting your rear tires up, getting in the corner. Still there. Clear.
Denny Hamlin the leader, Johnson in second.
That's what I'm talking about. Denny Hamlin.
Nice job, guys. Mike, awesome car. Wheels, sparky, everybody. Nice job.
Hey, bud, we don't need that car, so you can burn her down.
Find me a porter, John. I've got the feeling you would believe.
So do I.
Well, there's definitely some tense moments between Juan Pablo and Jeff Gordon, but, they got it worked out. And early in the race, you saw that damage on Denny Hamlin's fender and just lots of excitement going on in the radio. I love that feature.
But, Michael, there was some tension there, but I would say that's Martinsville.
I would, too. There wasn't anything there that was out of bounds, just two guys that are on the edge, racing with their emotions, certainly as part of the equation, and you lose your mind sometimes. I thought they did a decent job of holding it together.
Well, I saw an awful lot of fans there, paid good money. They saw a great race. That's what they expected Martinsville. And I don't think that anyone was out of line there. I think that that's good, aggressive racing, and I think it resulted in an exciting race for me.
And you know what's perfect? Tums sponsors a race.
Yeah, they pop them.
How is it, Michael?
Right. And then when you get all mad like Jeff Gordon was, you Tums.
Estrada. When we come back, we'll take a look at the points. Jimmy Johnson is doing, everything right. We'll see what kind of lead he's got. More highlights coming up. You heard Montoya and Jeff Gordon not happy. More on that. Was it too early in the race to be that aggressive? Plus, later we'll debate the yellow line rule at Talladega. Is it a good rule? We'll find out. You're watching This Week in NASCAR.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Brought to you in part by the Ford F-150. It's not just a pickup truck, it's a Ford F-150. And by Quality Hotels, rates and rooms to put you at ease. Book at qualityinn.com.
Let's take a look at the point standings with just 4 races to go, and looks like a 3-man race right now.
Why the yellow line? Are we trying to get like other people?
We offended the BIF. They're more than a race back. 161
points. It doesn't matter, though, that they're one race back. You never know what happens. There's a lot of racing left, man. We got 500 miles this week in Texas. Oh, my God.
I think I got a shot at it. Really.
I'm going to go along with Spence and say...
Greg's 350 back. He's not giving up.
I like that attitude, fans.
If those guys didn't show up, I'd be right in.
I would erase the yellow line until after Talladega. Yeah. Because if Jimmy falls out at Talladega, all of a sudden he invites 4 or 5 more guys back into it.
Well, they just move the yellow line down. That's all.
It's
adjustable.
It's probably still going to wind up in front of you, though. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It'll move again next week, and Greg will still be offended.
But NASCAR gets very upset when you're not eliminated from the chase. So none of those guys are eliminated yet. Okay, so why do we even put the line up?
Gives us something to talk about.
Well, the producer said nobody's eliminated yet. Well, why are we putting the yellow line up?
Gives us something to talk about.
Yeah. We're going to talk about...
Do you think any of the guys below that still have a shot? Do you honestly think that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's your honest opinion.
Let's talk about the other yellow line.
At Talladega?
Mm-hmm.
No. It's not time for that. We will. It's out of bounds.
I'm just trying to move on.
Okay, good. Greg, I know Martinsville's not your favorite racetrack. How would you define your day?
Well, I mean, I define my day as tough, but the thing that I think about, and it's encouragement for me, is I think about Denny Hamlin. And you look at Denny Hamlin in Dover. Denny probably has the same finishing average as I do at Martinsville, which is terrible. He hates the place. He never runs good there. He turns around and wins here at Martinsville, and that's the same for me. You know, I don't run good at Martinsville. We don't run very good as a company there. But, you know, we work on it. We continue to work on it. We go to Little Rock and test, and we'll get better, you know. But it's a kind of a mirror image of, you know, Denny Hamlin won and doesn't run good at Dover, and I don't run good at Martinsville.
You had a flat tire early, Michael. It was the point was thrown out during the broadcast. Was the front splitter causing flat tires on the rear?
It's just contact at Martinsville. Yes, it is, but then also it can be caused with the right side tailpipes. You know, you can run into guys and flatten their tires. I just got hit in the left rear, and it flattened my tire, and I was trying to get back to the pits to keep from spinning out, and just got in a little bit of a hurry, and around she went. She being the Napa Adaptive One Brakes Toyota. I had a brake sponsor on my car yesterday. Did you see how smoothly that thing came down?
Was Ron Capps
I did go to the Napa store and bought a brand new set of rotors and them adaptive brakes. Man, they were worth the money.
It's hybrid technology.
They were worth the money.
Less vibration, less brake dust. Yep. You don't have to wash your car as much. I'm sorry, let's lead to highlight.
Yeah, let's
one.
Estrada.
But it's true.
Hey, you have to endorse things you believe in.
I got the glasses for you. Let's take a look at the highlights from was it the Tums 500?
It was, yeah.
Fast relief. You know what was cool about that? All the fans were the Grand Marshal. I thought that was pretty cool on Martinsville's part for allowing the fans to be part of it.
Greg, Michael, was Juan Pablo Montoya too aggressive?
Well, they're
on lap 100 early.
They're definitely in an arguing match right here.
Yeah, they're definitely going for it. Might be a little bit early, but if the 24 is holding Montoya up, then he's got to get out of the way. I mean, it's time to go. It doesn't matter what lap. It wouldn't matter if it's lap 8. If you got a big gap in front of you and you're holding the field up, you got to get out of the way.
And another thing you got to consider, Steve, in Jeff's defense, those guys were in the middle of the pack. They weren't in danger of going a lap down, but you've got to scramble to get all you can get. But you see that from about lap 20 on, from 30th to 40th, because those guys know the leader's coming. Everybody back there knows every spot is very important. So seeing a couple of stars up in the front of the pack bumping each other like that early in the race, maybe a little early for that, but you're going to see the same exact thing in the back of the pack from the time they say go.
I would say it's too aggressive if Jeff Gordon was right on somebody. Jeff Gordon wasn't. Jeff Gordon had a lot of gap in between him and the car in front of him. So Juan Pablo says, hey, guys, I got to get on with this thing. You have to figure out what you have to do as a driver. So as he's going by him, he pulls away from him. So no harm, no foul. But yet I think that Juan Pablo was right in what he did there.
All right, let's move ahead. It's time for the Geico Greatest Pit Crew. It's going to go to the 48 team for knowing exactly where the timing line was exiting pit road. Juan Pablo complained that the 48 was speeding, but Johnson goes all out, Michael, until he gets to that timing line and slams on the brakes.
Well, you have roughly 50 feet, maybe 100 feet between lines, and you can go as fast as you want. And part of that line, and part of that space, and as slow as you want in the other. You just have to average out the speed. And so you see that all the time. Don't think about Jimmy Johnson doing something weird. Everybody does it. You squirt yourself out of your box to that line, and then you slow down. And so it's important to make sure that the fans understand this wasn't Jimmy Johnson. This is done on every pit stop sequence that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's where pit road, it's where the speed limit technically starts for you because you're at a dead stop.
So think about this. You got these lines, and if your box is in the middle of that, if your pit box is in the middle of those lines, you get past the last line before your box, you speed and get to your box and stop. And when you leave, you do the same thing.
Yep, I agree.
Attaboy. Here's your chance to score a picture of Hamlin's win. To enter the Picture of the Week giveaway, go to speedtv.com. Click the Shows tab at the top. Go to the This Week in NASCAR page. You'll see an email tab at the top to email us. Put Martinsville in the subject line, and you're entered to win. Be sure to put your shipping address in the email. The winner will be revealed next week. Jimmy Johnson pictures going to Northport, Florida. Coming up next, did Jimmy Johnson get away with a brake check on that restart? We'll analyze it in just a bit. And before we're done, we'll take an in-depth look at the history of restrictor plate racing. Restrictor plates have been used consistently for 20 years.
The Greatest Pit Crew has been presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot from Talladega. It's early Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern here on Speed. Let's take a look at more of the highlights from the short track beating and banging from Martinsville, Virginia. Now, boys, I want to ask you, here's a restart. It appears Jimmie Johnson brake checks and stacks up the field behind him. Is that, in fact, what he did? And do you think that, Greg, is that a good strategy, or should NASCAR not let that happen?
Well, it's a good strategy for the 48 because it got him out there, but bad strategy for all the guys behind him. You know, a lot of times guys get busted for brake checking, and they didn't actually do anything but maintain their speed. Everybody else kind of started to crouch up, and then everybody hits the brakes because the leader didn't go. So it's hard to tell whether the 48 slowed down. It almost, in that, my first view said he brake checked, but almost there it looks like these guys start speeding up around him and he never went.
I think it's a hard call to make.
Yeah.
I agree with Greg. I couldn't visually see that Jimmy did anything wrong. It looked like he just waited. He waited, and the other guys went, and then he didn't go, and they said, oh, we can't go.
And I also think you're right, Michael. They're anticipating that green flag, and Jimmy didn't go as quick as they thought, and that's usually
It's
what
the
happens.
leader. It's the leader that determines that. And anytime I've been in the lead and they said, hey, you know, you didn't go, or you brake checked, or they didn't like that start, I didn't do anything. I just maintained my speed.
That happened at Phoenix, didn't it? They really chewed you out for that one.
You know, a couple times I have, but they narrowed that segment up to where you can go from now.
Greg, talk about that, the logistics of it from the driver's seat. Flagman throws the green flag. I've always heard that the leader of the race is responsible for the restart.
The leader of the race is responsible. What he does is looks in the mirror, and he'll see the guy catching him. And you're not going to go until that guy stops, you know, accelerating forward then you go.
Because you're breaking his momentum.
You're breaking his momentum. But if he's closing it and you go, he's already got a momentum on you. So it's not that the 48 very well could have slowed down.
But there's a zone. It's 50 feet long, and the leader needs to start in that zone. If he goes out of that zone, then the guy on the outside can take off. And so as long as Jimmy was in that zone, I didn't really see where he did anything wrong.
Yeah,
It's hard to tell.
There's also fans. There's lines on the outside wall, and also the other thing is that NASCAR is very diligent. They'll constantly tell the drivers, hey, quit laying back, even as far back as 25th or 30th. So they're watching it all the time.
All right, Jimmy, let's move ahead. We saw the 42 and the 24 trading paint. Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards got to know each other at Martinsville.
He's crushing the M&Ms. That's not right, Carl.
You saw where the 18 had him pinched so low that there wasn't room for him down there.
Well, that's your teammate. You're going to speak up for the duck, you know. Me, I like M&Ms. Oh, this is cool. Watch this. Bam! Here you go, M&Ms. How about some of that? Do you think that might date back to the Bristol a year ago?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
he definitely wasn't happy about that.
That was a good strategy, though. Don't you like what Carl did?
Let him go?
I can finish this right here.
Yeah.
I'll pull over.
Go ahead.
And I'll knock you up toward Collinsville a little ways.
Show you that I mean business. Yeah. But it's part of what makes Martinsville pretty neat. And I think that, you know, I think they were like testing each other, and then they said, well, you know what, we better be careful because we could take each other out. And they stopped. So that's enough.
And plus, Carl left when he pushed him up toward Carton.
Carl did
Collinsville.
Yep.
All right, time now for the Castrol Edge. Smart move of the race. It's more of a debate, actually. What was the best spot for the restarts? We saw the leader on the inside get past, then we saw the leader on the inside hold the lead.
Yeah, but
guys, what was better on the restarts, inside or outside?
I think if you look at this, you got to say, first of all, Jeff Burton wasn't running good at all.
But the 18 passed the 11.
Yeah.
She ended up winning.
But that's teammates, too. That's the first time that the 18 led the race that day. So there's a lot to be said about that. But you didn't see Juan Pablo or whatever pass, just starting the outside pass. But I think the inside was definitely the preferred line.
I like the inside was definitely faster for me. Nothing was fast for me, but the inside was better than the outside.
I would pick the inside. I think if you got the best car, you can get a bit of a jump. When you get to the corner, you dictate what happens in that corner. Yeah. If you get down in that corner, either position, if you don't get to the corner first, you're not in charge anymore. So as you dive in the corner, if you're got your nose out in front, you can wander up a little bit and get a better angle off that turn. Same circumstance for the guy on the outside. He can sort of get you aimed and pinched down, makes it harder to exit. But if you're on the inside, you have one more option. You can scoot him over a little bit.
Eight tires work better than 4.
What?
8 tires work better than 4.
Definitely. I like that, Jimmy.
All right. When we return, no caution on the final lap with the car sitting on the front stretch with the field coming. Was it the right call? And Brad Keselowski wins in controversial fashion in the Nationwide Series on Saturday in Memphis. We'll have the highlights.
The smart move of the race has been presented by new Castrol Edge. Think with your dipstick. Upgrade to new Castrol Edge Advanced Synthetic. Nothing offers better wear and protection.
A couple more highlights from yesterday's 500-lap race on the short track at Martinsville. Brakes are always an issue on the bull ring. Issues for Scott Speed. Greg, it looks like he had no brakes at that point.
Yeah, he was going way too fast getting down in there. What'll happen, the front brakes will start to go away, and then all you have is rear.
And this might be what happens here. It looks like Carl had to jam on his brakes real hard to keep from hitting the 29. Maybe got a wheel hop, and up in the outside wall he went. Solid top 10 run for Carl all day long, taken away and just that close to the finish.
Cost him a lot of positions. All right, a little bit of controversy at the end. I want to hear what the guys have to say. Johnny Andretti spins with just a lap to go right near the start-finish line. NASCAR didn't throw the caution immediately. Jimmy, did they make the right move?
Yeah, I think,
no call, the right call.
I think they made the right decision simply from this look. Like the car was down on the inside, Michael, and everybody knew the caution was out.
Well, you see the caution flag flew with the checker. That means that when Denny went across the line, the checker and the caution flew together. Everybody after that point, they were frozen. So there was no sense in coming back to the line 2 or 3 wide, because watch, there's the caution, you're frozen. And as a race car driver and as your spotter, you're supposed to know that. They did not put John Andretti in any additional danger, in my opinion. Give a call to John Andretti. That's a part-time team, a solid lead lap run for most of the day. Lost some spots there at the end, but a great job by that team. Bob Jenkins and those boys are doing a good job keeping that car up in the top 35. They're racing Scott Speed for that 35th spot. Scott had some problems late. John had some problems, but that's been a good battle to watch.
Greg, quickly, right call, no call?
I think it was the right call. I mean, you know, the car was down out of the way, and you know, I wish John would have stayed down next to that wall if he couldn't have got turned around in time. But, you know, I think they did the right thing.
The Camping World Truck Series teams in Martinsville. Michael, of course, in the booth for that one. They were able to dodge the raindrops and produce a first-time winner, which is always exciting.
Leading the field to the green flag, it'll be Mike Skinner and Ron Hornaday. Green flags in the air, we're underway.
There is no doubt if there is a place on the schedule Timothy Peters would like to get his first career win, it's here at Martinsville. After all, he grew up in Virginia and lives only 15 minutes from here.
Right now, he's just trying to hit his marks. He knows he has a good truck. He knows right now if he could get a little bit of a cushion, then maybe he could ease off a little bit, try to save a little fuel. Fuel is his biggest concern right now, I think.
Rolling through the corner, coming out, turn number 4, checkered flags in the air. Timothy Peters will win at Martinsville.
Timothy Peters and Strutmasters in victory lane at Martinsville Speedway.
What an awesome way to do this. And these fans, woo! I can't believe it. Just Tom DeLoach, Chad Kendrick, great calls. The fans for pulling for us. This man right here.
How worried were you about the fuel mileage? Was he telling you where you were?
He had to calm me down. I wasn't worried, but then when he said that, then I got scared. But this is for my dad. I lost my dad in 01, and this is for him.
This is a great story. He won just 15 miles from his house. When he started the season, Timothy Peters didn't know how 09 was going to look for him. Not a full-time ride. He couldn't count on what was going to happen next. He got in that one truck, and since that time, Jimmy, he's gone from 19th to 7th in the points, and now has a win.
And you know, he's been struggling for a lot of years. Finally, to see him in there and win, it was great. Fans, stay tuned. We're going to have the trucks on this week, but there's going to be some big announcements coming on Speed about the trucks next year. I'm excited about it.
Oh, really now?
I'm not saying no more. Just stay tuned to Speed.
What about that?
That's called a tease in the TV business.
It's big. It's big.
All right, well, Jimmy's right. The Camping World Truck Series with us throughout the end of this season will be at Talladega Saturday.
Always
covered
exciting.
Beginning at 3:30. Well, Saturday's nationwide race in Memphis was a Dash for Cash race. Nationwide put up an extra $25,000 to be given to the race winners in Nashville, Kentucky, Iowa, and Memphis. Plus, they awarded a $50,000 bonus to the driver scoring the most points in those 4 races. Well, check out who claimed the Dash for Cash dough.
There's the tap from Raines. Everybody else is spinning behind him, trying to check up. You're right. It's a good thing he did get going.
It's in the middle of the corner. He's slowing up. Boom. Just gets tapped by Tony Raines.
Yeah, Carl can see there's problems in front of him. He got out of the throttle to slow up a little bit. He got rear-ended a little bit right there.
He's lucky he got turned around. I was headed in the right direction.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Oh, he actually blows Kenny's left rear out.
Yep.
Somebody got into McClure. Can't tell who it was. Boy, he went hard into the wall.
Save for Barry right there. Black car right there, either 92 or 29. 3 wide, going in there. Whoa!
Carl gets tapped from behind. Look out, could get hit. He gets Allgaier and then gets tagged by another car that comes into the view there.
Carl was 4th, and
looks like Brad Keselowski gets in the back of the 60 car and spins him. And here they go. And Justin Allgaier gets a hunk of that, gets his right side door ripped off.
88 looking to the inside.
Oh, you talk about aggressive. And he goes for it. He gets underneath, and now he's looking underneath for the race lead. Hang on, coming through 4. It is. Oh, and he turns it. He gets into him, but boy, he recovers, and Keselowski wins. What a finish. $75,000 bonus from Nationwide for Brad Keselowski as he picks up his 6th win in his 101st start, but none bigger than this.
Man, I enjoyed watching the nationwide races, watching this young talent coming up. And this kid is very talented. But I have a problem with him. He loves to wreck people. There's ways of being aggressive. Juan Pablo, Carl Edwards, the 18 car. I mean, that was aggressive at Martinsville on Sunday. But this guy, I mean, it goes back to Denny Hamlin. He wrecked him at Dover. I mean, I think back to where he knocked Carl out again. He knocked out the 12 car at Bristol. I mean, the guy loves to wreck people. He needs to learn not to be wrecking people. Nothing wrong with being aggressive. He's very talented, but you got to learn how far you can go, dude.
But then he put it all together with a great race restart. I mean, that's awesome. He took them 3 wide, got the position in a solid manner, then got the lead. So aggressiveness got him that victory as well. He didn't have to wreck anybody at the end to do that. But Kyle remembers what all Jimmy was talking about, and he said, maybe if I get a hold of him a little bit, it'll get his attention. But he held off and got the win. And a big compliment for Brad. Tony Eury Jr. said, I hate to see the kid go. He's doing us a good job, and obviously that's the case. But you'll learn. The Cup Series is a little bit different when you come over there and start ruffling some feathers. It might not turn out the same.
Get a little education, huh, Greg?
Yes, there's education over there.
There's knowledge.
I got my own
education. Yes. When we come back, Brad Keselowski didn't go below the yellow line at Talladega and ended up in victory lane. But does the yellow line rule increase the chances for a big wreck similar to that flip from Carl Edwards? This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Well, guys, we're headed to the Talladega Super Speedway. Michael Waltrip raises his hand first. Yes, sir.
There's no discussion about the yellow line.
We have to.
It saves lives. It makes racing more entertaining. If we didn't have a yellow line, when we got down to turn 1, the guy on the inside, there wouldn't be a turn there for him. He'd be on the apron, and he would have to say, excuse me, I'm coming over. Let me just tell you something, Steve. This little maneuver right here happens whether there's a yellow line or not. Regan made a decision to go under it. Tony was going to block. Here's a guy that decided not to go under the yellow line. He was going to hold his ground. Okay, listen, Steve, for a second. If he doesn't hold his ground at the yellow line, you know where he's going to hold his ground eventually? Down at the grass. And that same wreck will happen. But people think twice before they make that move because they know the rule.
Yeah, the people that make the yellow line, or the thing that makes the yellow line dangerous, or the people that do, are the people that try and block the guy down below the yellow line.
Greg, we saw that piece of footage with Regan Smith and Tony Stewart, I think from October 2007, and you said on this show what NASCAR is. They basically were dictating what's going to happen, and we saw that in the spring.
And that's the reason right there is exactly the reason why Brad Keselowski won that race.
He held his line.
Right there. We all learned from that. Coming to the checkered flag, there was a big controversy. We all learned from that. Turn the guy. But don't go down there.
I don't think Brad's intention was to turn a guy. Brad Keselowski did the right thing there on that day when Carl Edwards was trying to block him. Carl Edwards done the right thing. He's trying to win the race. This is what makes Talladega so exciting. And
Carl would probably
I agree, but you're not going to lift when you're coming to the checkered flag.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski had at least another 2 feet. You could see he could have went down there. Brad said, nope. You know.
Well, the point of the matter is, Steve, if the line isn't there, it'll happen the same. It'll happen somewhere else.
I agree.
Well,
it's going to happen down by the grass.
And to your point, and you've said this over the years, restrictor plates don't cause wrecks.
No.
The yellow line doesn't cause wrecks.
The people's decisions cause them, and
right.
you know, you're forced to make some of those decisions. And Carl said, "I've got to block this guy," and the guy said, "You're not blocking me today. I'm sorry."
Michael.
What about Kyle Busch at Daytona with Tony Stewart? Coming to the checkered flag. Same thing, only that wasn't around the yellow flag or the yellow line.
And my point is, take the yellow line away. You have somebody try to pass somebody on the outside at Charlotte coming to the checker, and you try to block them. Just sit back and watch all the pieces fly, because they're going to wreck.
But the biggest thing that I think about Talladega, and Michael, you're one of them, and I loved it. I loved going to Talladega and Daytona. And that's one thing that the old man had, Earnhardt. He loved going there. There's a lot of drivers that do not like to go to Talladega. They don't like to race that way. I think it's the greatest racing we have in the world. I can't wait for it, and I agree with you guys. I think if the drivers use a little more common sense, there won't be no wrecks.
Well, speaking of Dale Earnhardt, he won 10 times at Talladega. Well, earlier this season, we saw it a minute ago, Brad Keselowski got his first career win. Let's take a look back.
For the 80th time here at Talladega, green flag goes in the air, and we are underway. It's almost utter chaos the first 3 or 4 laps.
What's over this 13? He's clueless. He races in other countries. He's not supposed to be here.
They're pushing way too hard, dude. Thank you, but no thank you. I hear you, baby, but you're in front of all the trouble.
Contact! Jeff Gordon is into the outside wall. This is a mess in turn number 4. They're still crashing and colliding.
Casey, all right, bud?
Yeah, done for now. I don't know.
Wild racing after a big crash early. We thought they might settle down just a little bit, but when you come to Talladega, apparently it's just in your blood. They haven't let up one bit.
Kyle, you're going to wreck us all blocking like that, dude. The track is too wide for that. Have fun, buddy.
Kyle Busch spinning wildly out of control.
I'm a flat down. Damn it.
And all of a sudden, we're seeing some new faces up front.
Brad Keselowski is down low.
99 and 09's got a run going on the outside. Need to go to the top. If you guys can go to the top, go now. Nope, too late.
Carl Edwards now leads the way. Brad Keselowski on his back bumper.
You just watch him in your mirror. He's all over you here, just you and him.
Contact here in the triangle. Edwards goes up in the air. A wild crash as they come down to the start-finish line. Brad Keselowski scores the victory.
For the first time in his NASCAR Sprint Cup career, Brad Keselowski is in victory lane here at Talladega.
Well, there's no doubt that restrictor plate racing is always, always exciting. And we were having a discussion here, continuing about the yellow line or blocking or not. And I think back to Daytona race in July when Kyle Busch tried to block Tony Stewart for that win. And it wasn't around the yellow line, but it cost Kyle Busch the chance of making the chase. Kyle Busch missed the chase by 8 points, and I bet he wished he could go back and do it over. So Talladega is going to be exciting no matter what.
I love Daytona and Talladega. I can't wait, baby. I can't wait. Stay tuned, baby. We'll be talking about some cool wrecks coming on the next.
All right, well, up next, some unusual things have happened at Talladega. Did you know a fan actually stole the pace car? You'll see the footage next. And the first time in history, NASCAR used restrictor plates wasn't to prevent flipping race cars. We'll explain. A lot of coverage for you at Talladega this weekend. We'll have NASCAR Live at 1:30 on Friday, Sprint Cup practice at 2, and trackside at 7. In fact, 2 tracksides, one Friday and one Saturday. Well, unusual things have happened at the Talladega Superspeedway since it opened back in 1969. In fact, we call it wackiness. Michael, Jimmy and I were around in '86 when one of Alabama's finest decided to steal the pace car.
It was funny, it was cool, and they're trying to block him here, Michael.
Yeah, they left a little bit of a gap for him in case he was real serious about coming through there. But watch, they extricate him from the car in an aggressive manner.
They help him out here quickly.
Excuse me.
Come on, dude. Whoa, the hair.
The hair.
Wow. I don't think he intended it to be that mean. He was just trying to take a leisure ride after he had a few beverages, fans.
That was right before. Michael, I think that was right after driver intros and before the race.
At least he didn't have a shirt on.
Well, we're going to Alabama now.
Yeah.
Come on.
I remember being told, don't get in any hurry, that some dude took the pace car. That's my recollection of that.
And what did you think?
I thought, that's interesting.
It was
I'd qualified
where he's headed.
I'd qualified at 207 miles an hour maybe, and was starting 29th. And then some guy took the pace car, and I was a rookie, so I was kind of hoping he would never bring it back, and I wouldn't have to start. Maybe I won't have to do this today, because that sounds pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
Hey, let's take a look at the chase drivers and their individual records at Talladega. Spence, you were kind of surprised that Jeff has won 6 times there.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon is probably one of the best restrictor plate racers there is. He's got a lot of wins at Daytona and a lot of wins at Talladega, and he always seems to know where to be and what place to put him. And I remember him racing Jimmy Johnson, and Jimmy Johnson, his teammate, was very upset when Jeff passed him at the end. So it's going to be a good weekend, and don't be surprised that 24 car will be up there again, Michael.
Yeah, he's won more races than all the rest of the chasers put together.
Is Talladega, let me make a comment and then ask a question. Greg, you said, I like racing at Talladega, I just don't finish well there. Michael, you have won there and always seem to run well there. So is it a mentality? Is it drafting and knowing when to pull the trigger and when not to?
Yeah, the day I won, I've run second there a bunch. The day I won, it was just one of those days where I didn't play the layback game. I said, I'm going to run up front all day long, and if I'm in the wreck, I'm in the wreck. And you can go about that race in 2 different ways. You can kind of hang out, or you can try to be aggressive and lead every lap and run up front. I don't know which ways. I don't know the one's better than the other. Do you? Or sometimes one works, and sometimes the other way will work.
I've been running third or second and watched the 10 car fly upside down across my hood, so I don't know that was the safe spot to be, and I've been involved in them in the middle and the back. So, I love racing at Talladega. I hate wrecking. That's the only thing. Racing's fun. If I can make it to the end of the race and didn't get caught up in that wreck, I had fun. I had a good day.
If you watch Talladega this weekend and you see a wreck, I'll bet you that 1% is driver error, because the 99% of the time, there's nothing wrong with the cars, the restrictor plate racing or whatever. It's always that driver that makes the mistake and causes the big wreck.
Spence won at Talladega too. When Twin returns, Bobby Allison, this big crash was the reason restrictor plate racing as we know it was implemented, but is there a better way to slow the cars? Plus, we'll double-click the inbox and dive into some emails. Do the drivers prefer cold or hot weather to race in? We'll find out. Restrictor plates are used to slow the cars on the superspeedways at Daytona and Talladega. NASCAR recently announced for this weekend's race at Talladega, they're making the restrictor plates a 64th of an inch smaller, and Michael says that'll take about 12 horsepower away from the cars. Now here's a look at the history of restrictor plates.
Go fast, turn left, just not too fast.
Everything has improved, the crowds, the cars, and we wonder where it's going to end.
No, that's what you have to say to yourself. How fast can they go?
When restrictor plates were first introduced in the early 70s, it was not for safety reasons as one might think. The plates were put on the big block engines to cut horsepower, so the teams running the new small blocks would be able to compete.
The engine in this car is a 351 cubic inch Ford Cleveland engine, thought by many people to be too small for competition where the maximum limit is 430 cubic inches.
Once NASCAR went exclusively to the smaller engine in the mid-70s, the plates went away too.
Well, I think the 1-inch plate's absolutely the worst thing you can do, because all it does is just flat kill horsepower out of the engine.
Restrictor plate racing as we know it today started with the Daytona 500 in 1988.
This carburetor plate, ordered up after Bobby Allison's crash in Alabama last year to slow the cars. And slow them it's done, 16 miles an hour off the pole.
While bringing down top speeds, it also created tighter packs.
It's usually not a one-car accident when something happens with them running that close together. It's multi-cars.
It was a danger that Richard Petty had predicted and experienced firsthand.
Richard Petty was running in a pack of cars. The back end starts to go around. You can see Petty's car just turning over up against the wall.
Since then, restrictor plate racing, for better or for worse, is part of racing at Daytona and Talladega.
Well, I think that the restrictor plate is good for our sport. Let's face it, if the restrictor plate wasn't on these cars, we would be approaching 230, 240 on the end of the straightaways. That's too fast.
We wouldn't be racing at Daytona and Talladega. You couldn't race there.
You're right, Michael. And I think that what NASCAR has done here has combined the cars because of the plate, but yet it makes for great racing. And at the end of the day, you will see the greatest race in history at NASCAR puts on at the restrictor plate races. And I absolutely enjoyed them. I loved going there as a competitor. I know, Michael, you do. You've won there, and so has Greg won. So you got to have a lot of luck at Daytona and Talladega.
Yeah.
One of the greatest races I've ever seen was at Talladega when Bobby Hamilton won. I think it was 2002, 2003, and it went green the whole way.
What about when Dale Earnhardt won? He was running 18th with 2 to go and took the checker with Kenny Wallace pushing him to the checkers in the fall of 2000. I think it was his last
win.
That was his last win.
And that was an amazing race and an amazing day. So you're going to see some cool stuff. It might be the 8th wonder of the world what happens on the racetrack Sunday at Talladega.
I mean, yeah, there's no doubt the restrictor plate's the way to go. I mean, Carl would have been clear over that fence, in the grandstand.
Don't even mention that. Ooh, that's scary.
Don't say that.
You know what I mean? Restrictor plate keeps us all safe.
It's time now for the ZMAX Fuel for Thought email segment. We're going to double click, clickety-click. Kind of a two-part question here for Michael. Do Cup drivers prefer cold conditions like we had in Charlotte over hot for the car and track conditions and themselves?
Who sent that in?
Mr. Aycock.
Yeah, B, I appreciate the question. A cool day is better for everybody. The engines perform better, the tires stick better, the driver is able to concentrate and focus better because of the cool conditions. So the night like we had in Charlotte, even yesterday at Martinsville, just a nice, cool fall day, that's the way you can have your best race.
Charlotte might have been a little cold.
I also think that when we look back, what Mr. France did was he moved the July 4th race from the afternoon sun, mainly for the fans, not for the competitors as much. Right. So I think NASCAR considers the fans too.
We used to race at 10 o'clock in the morning.
And another comment real quick, the plates are for the fans too. The race car drivers, we're going to race no matter what. We put the plates on there to keep the fans safe so they can watch the
You know what? Kenny Wallace said you guys are like dogs. You can't help yourself from yourself.
No.
How many sets of tires does a race team go through on a race weekend, Greg Biffle?
We usually go through 6 to 12 sets of tires. It just depends on where we're at. Las Vegas, we go through a lot less because the racetrack's not as abrasive. And then, it depends on, Atlanta, we go through a lot more. So just depends on the racetrack, but 6 to 12 sets,
I used my allotment yesterday then. I think I was past 12 to 20 yesterday. We put on tires every time we put on our car.
But if you were a starting parker, you only have to use 3 sets.
Right, but you're not going to be competitive like that.
Oh, that's true.
You're not.
You rarely finish.
Hey, next Monday night, Chad Knaus back with us, Michael Waltrip, of course, and Jimmy Spencer at 8 o'clock on Monday.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance, and brought to you in part by AutoZone, because do it yourself doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
To enter the Picture of the Week giveaway, go to speedtv.com, click the show's tab at the top, go to the This Week in NASCAR page. You'll see an email tab at the top to email us. Put Martinsville in the subject line and you're entered to win. Be sure to put your shipping address in the email. Well, Michael, we're going to Talladega, and this is a chance for some glory for you.
I love it. I can't wait to race. It's probably my best chance to win a race of my career that's left, so I'm going to be on it. If it doesn't go well, you know how important Tums were for Martinsville? Are they equally as important for Talladega?
They act fast, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love Talladega. I can't wait. Greg, we saw what happened to you and Carl last year.
Yeah.
you never know what's going to happen at that racetrack, and hopefully that doesn't happen to you guys again, and hopefully this chase will tighten up. You know, Jimmy Johnson will maybe have an engine failure, be the first car out, and we'll just run caution-free the rest of the way. Boring.
We're going to put that yellow line. It's going to be below Greg's name.
That's right. We're going to move it down, hopefully, and keep it going.
Just want to congratulate those Virginia natives. Timothy Peters getting that win 15 miles from his house this weekend, and Denny Hamlin winning in his home state. So it's a fun weekend at the NASCAR scene.
Hey, the trucks are at Talladega Saturday, baby. Look out.
Join us Friday at 1:30.